Rise and shine, living phenomenal.
Hello, happy Saturday. How's it going? If you are joining me live, then drop it down in the comments. Do a little check in with me. Let me know where you're coming from, where you're at, I guess I should say. And here at Travel Marketeering, give a TM for Travel Marketeering, just a great greeting for those who know. So happy that you are here. I am, for those of you who don't know, I am your host, Joshua Harrell. I'm the Chief Revenue Officer over at Worldvia Travel Network, and I get to do some really cool things. But the coolest thing I do is I get to work with travel agency owners and advisors all throughout the country, and I love to be a part of their success story, whether they're getting started or they've been doing it for years. It is the most rewarding thing I could ever do. So, yeah, that's me in a nutshell. And travel marketeering, if you're new, is selling your travel products, your travel services through systems, sales and marketing, right? Sales and marketing around systems, because systems are things that you can manage. Systems are things that you can tweak, you can enhance. Art is not that way. So that's why we focus on systems. So every weekend or most weekends, I am here talking about travel marketeering and talking about topics that will help you manage your marketing, grow your reach, uh, enable you to sell more travel, right? Because that's the name of the game. Okay, let's see here. That was a big sound, wasn't it? That was like a all right, so we've got Robert is joining us. It's TM time. I love it, Robert. Hello back at you. And Robert's giving us a TM from Michigan. And Lisa is joining us. Hi from Tampa, Florida. Good to see you, Lisa. And TM back at you. Glad to have you. And Melissa is here, TM from Minnesota. Nice opening song. Was that you on the vocals? Yes, that was. I fancy myself a singer, and I thought I would make you endure that. So thank you for noticing, Melissa. Yeah, maybe that'll be like my DJ moment. In the opening, I will just play various songs from the artist known as Joshua Harrell. All kidding aside, very glad to have you guys here. If you are watching this any time of the day, night, any time of the year, of course, welcome. But when you join us live, that's when you get to have a lot more fun. You get the support of this amazing community of travel marketeers. Plus, you get to use it as a little consulting time, right? You get to ask some questions about our topic, and in the end, help other travel marketeers. So that is a beautiful thing. So don't be shy. As if you are, I was talking to people who are watching this on demand, but if you're watching live, ask the questions. It helps the people live and on demand. And if you're watching this on demand, don't hesitate. Put some comments in, ask some questions. Me and our team at Worldvia would love to jump in and help you. And the other thing I want to mention here, I got to pull this up here. If you have not joined our Facebook community, then please go over to Facebook and search Travel Marketeers and join our private Facebook group. This is a group that's just growing, and everybody's able to get some help or share some wins or challenges, things like that. So we are building a movement here, and come be a part of it. Love to see you in the Facebook group. All right. Today's topic is blogging. We're going to talk about blogging. We talk about blogging all the time. I mean, a lot of these topics you're going to hear me talk about them in different ways, right? Because you never know. I've been doing this for a long time. You never know when it's gonna sink in or when you're gonna have that aha moment where it's gonna click for you. And I know for a fact that that happens because I have seen it happen over and over again. Some of our travel marketeers, I've been fortunate to be with them for a long time. And most recently, we've had some celebrations of success. And in the same breath, the same time period, they have experienced success with their marketeering in a way that it eluded them for a bit. Now they can celebrate success as well as success in their marketeering, and who knows what success that's going to lead to. So today we're going to be talking about blogging, and we're going to talk about really how to use blogging in a smart way, right? And I'm going to talk about why blogging matters. What makes an effective travel blog, content that converts, converting being the ultimate activity that you wanna have happen on your website. You wanna have people convert from being unknown visitors to known visitors and ultimately becoming a lead and a customer, right? We're going to talk about integrating blogs into your strategy, into your online presence, and into your marketing strategy. Very, very important. And most importantly, we're going to talk about getting started, because that is always, no matter what we're talking about in marketeering, getting started is the hardest part. So, what I'd love for those of you who are joining live, this is an interactive session, right? Always an interactive session. So if you have a blog today on your website and you want me to take a look at it live, I will definitely do that. So just drop the URL down in the comments wherever you are, and those of you on the different social platforms watching this right now, go visit the person's blog who's shared it in the comments, because you might get inspired, so you can have your own journey. But I will definitely take a look at your blog and give you some. I'm going to say it's solicited advice, because if you put it in the comments, you're asking me for that. Let's see. World via Chris. Oh, this is a new face in the chat. This is World via Chris. Christopher Lucretia, our trade sales and marketing manager, who works with all of our amazing travel partners across the globe. I'm glad that you're joining on a Saturday. Thank you very much. So, just saying, blogging is a great way to connect to your audience. And Chris, how fortuitous that you would join the chat today, because I want to tell a little story about you in blogging. So we have a blog on worldviatravelnetwork.com, and it's got tons of content there. We have tons of content creators within our organization who are experts in different subjects, right? So everybody writes blogs. If there's a story, if there's an idea, then if there's something to if there's news, if there's something to teach, everybody goes and writes blogs on our team. And Chris, because he gets to work with all of our travel partners and he gets to work with our agency owners and advisors, he's got a lot of insight of what's going on in the marketplace, what's going on right now, what's coming up with different supplier partners. And we were talking once, this is, I want to say, about a year ago. We were talking and I said, you know what, you should really write a blog. Like, what is the thing that you want to talk about right now? What are you hearing? What would be of value to our audience? And he started writing a blog all about, or blog articles all about travel partners and products and categories and things like that. So definitely go check it out. Chris has got articles all over world via travelnetwork.com. Go check it out. But it has been an interesting journey for him, because it's not his main role. It's not what he does. He works with travel partners and works more behind the scenes. So by creating these blog articles, he's bringing a lot of these conversations to life and making them accessible to the world. And I think that's an awesome thing. And it also is a testament to just create, be consistent, uh, get your knowledge, sample yourself out to the world. And what has happened is he has a following of people who really look forward to that content. And that is a beautiful thing. That is a beautiful thing. Now, I know some of us who are just getting started with blogging would love to have an audience who is following you, but you have to get started, right? That's always going to be the thing. All right, so guys, the keep the chat going. I'm happy. I'm going to pop over throughout the session here, and again, thank you for being here. And if you have to pop off for any reason, you don't need to tell me. I'm okay. My feelings won't get hurt, but please come back to our YouTube channel. Just search World Via Travel Network. You can get to our channel and subscribe if you haven't subscribed. You can get the recordings of travel marketeering sessions as well as loads of other content that our content creators create over in the World Via area. So, love to have you there. All right, let's pop over and I'm going to take you through today's session. All right, so we are going to be talking about blogging, and let's talk about why it matters. Okay, first and foremost, enhance visibility. Did you know that 67% of travel research starts online? Okay. Now that makes sense, right? That's why you have websites. You know that, right? But 67% of travel research starts online. And that probably applies to many, many things that people are researching before they buy. But blogging elevates your Google search presence. And more importantly, hey, everybody's talking about AI, right? So AI, while it is not a search engine, AI is combing the web for information. It is insatiable. It wants information. And when it provides information to its users, it will credit where it's getting the information from. Don't miss out. Don't let that be something 5 years from now. You're sitting around saying, "Oh, I need to optimize my site for AI." No, do it now. Create the content. Create the content. It really, there's no secret to it. It's just consistency in your content creation. So, enhanced visibility, thus, really, when I say enhanced visibility, we're really talking about discoverability. You cannot be discovered if people don't have a way to find you. Okay. So, that visibility is that discoverability, and that's what you're looking for. Conversion power, put simply, if you have a blog, you have another avenue to convert prospects to leads. And really, I said it earlier, convert those unknown visitors to your website to leads. And without that blog, you might not get that person. Okay, so the person who is doing research on their travel and travel options, what they might want to do, they are searching for content and they're not looking necessarily for sales pages. They're looking for expertise, and you've got it. So make sure that you've got that content to help you convert visitors to your website, but more importantly, so but those future visitors to your website will even find you. Okay, so conversion power. And another thing I love, I always say, make your website your number one salesperson. Why are they your number one salesperson? Well, first of all, they should represent your brand in a way that no human being could, right? It is always on point. It is your brand and it is telling your story 24/7. And 24/7 means that while you sleep, your website can be getting you customers, okay? That is people say make money while you sleep. Uh, yeah, I think having a website and content that converts is helping you make money while you sleep. So people can discover that blog at any time as long as it exists. See the theme here? You got to start. You got to start. And trust builder, right? So your the readers of your blog, they're going to trust you if they are reading your blog and that's how they first get introduced to you. The fact that they're digging in deeper to maybe have a conversation with you, to schedule a consultation with you, or submitting an inquiry, right? They came the if they came through your blog to reach you, think about what that says, that they trust that you are the right advisor for them. And when I say advisor, I'm not just talking about someone who sells travel, but someone who can advise, is an expert. That's the power there, okay? So that is, in a nutshell, why blogging matters. And I'll be honest with you, I do website throwdowns on a almost weekly basis, right? I get to poke around on websites, and some of them are at various different stages. Some have been around for a while. Some of them are they've just launched, right? Inevitably, the blog is the number one thing neglected, if it is even on the website. So many people are like, "Oh, should I do a blog?" Yes, please. So stop asking, just do. Just do. There is never a situation where the answer to should I have a blog is no. I'm going to just say that definitively. That is, there is no reason that you should not have a blog. So have a blog. That's that in a nutshell, that's what it is. So let's talk about the anatomy of an effective travel blog. And I in putting this together, I didn't want to just say blog, even though I know that that's what I'm saying. I really wanted to shape the conversation around a travel blog because and I gotta think about my words here. The the reason why I say that is when like I said, I get to talk to so many people who have a website, and the conversation inevitably goes around, their blog and what do I put there, and do I put promotions there? Which, yes, you can, but it just seems like there's not a lot of focus around what the blog should be. So I wanted to say, let's stop calling it just a blog. It's a travel blog. And there's no situation where the blog on your website should not be considered your travel blog. Now, for some of you, you might be hearing that and you're like, you know what? I am not Samantha Brown. I cannot have a travel blog. I'm not Rick Steves. Yes, you can. I'm giving you permission. You can have a travel blog and you should. And instead of saying, go visit my blog, you should say, you should check out my travel blog. It's going to have inspiration on travel. I'm going to tell you all about the things that I focus on, right? I've got some great promotions that drop every once in a while. But all in all, it's a great resource for you. Okay. Let's start calling it a travel blog, my travel blog, my travel blog. Okay. So, travel blogs. What is the anatomy of an effective travel blog? Okay. These are the guiding principles as you are creating content on your travel blog. So, at the very, very base base level activity, you need to have compelling headlines. This is so important because I want you to hold the mirror up to yourself and I want you to say, do I read every page of a website when I'm poking around? No, I don't. Be honest with yourself. You don't, right? So but you do scan, right? You do scan. You want and that's, for all web pages, right? I always say, make sure you've got, great imagery, make sure that when you scroll through a page, the headlines on your page, this is not just a travel blog, this is the pages on your website. If someone just reads the headlines, don't read anything else, they understand what you do. That should be a goal, that should be your focus. So that is all about signaling what you sell, making the page engaging, making people read more, making people understand what you do so they will take that action and convert and become known to you. So look for on your blog, create titles that evoke a response. Like, I need to click on this. I need to learn more. And that's not the clickbait kind of activity where you have some kind of shocking headline, but make it scroll stopping. Make it something that, the worst thing, oh my gosh, I cannot stand this. And let me say, I love our travel partners in the travel industry, but I am just saying some of their travel blogs are rough and they are not following this advice. You, if I see a blog article that says updates from brand X, I am going to scream, and it happens all the time. Think about some webinars that you get invited to. It's like, find out the latest about brand X. Oh, please. I've got to stop and do that right now. No, I don't. That is boring. Depending on the audience, right? Write, get put a title together that makes me want to read on. It makes me understand what I might get out of reading this article, right? And it's blogs don't have to be just articles. They can be videos, they can be photo albums, they can be audio files, right? There's so many ways to capture your essence in your story. Don't think of it as just writing. So from a headline perspective, think about what is going to signal, hey, I need to check this out. And also make sure it makes sense with what you're going to be looking at. You can't say, um, I, I heard somebody say on YouTube the other day, they were talking about making sure that when you are promoting something, that that what you show, what you are signaling, is what the person gets once they've, once they watch the video or once they buy from you or whatever. And I loved this, he said, "You don't want to advertise it's a Mars bar, and it really is a rice cake." And I thought that's such a great, because that would be really disappointing, right? If you thought you were getting a chocolate bar and you ended up getting a rice cake. I mean, that would be very disappointing. So, think about your headline as, you wanna make sure it's a Mars bar, and what they're gonna read is Mars bar and not a rice cake. I'm gonna work on that analogy, but I'm just saying I think that conveys an interesting story there. So, headlines. Make sure that if someone just reads your headlines, so think about your blog roll. That's where you have all of your blogs listed, so somebody can click on them to go and read the whole article. If you just read the headlines, would that signal what you are focused on and what you are an expert on, right? Let's I want you, if you have a blog right now, I want you to go over there and check it out. All right. Next, on top of that foundation of the compelling headlines, authentic storytelling, okay? Let me tell you why this is so important. I mean, this is not just everybody talking about, "Oh, you need to be authentic." Yes, you do need to be authentic, right? But authentic storytelling is, whether it's video, whether it is written, whether it is audio, whether it is photos, right? Authentic storytelling is about you actually conveying who you are, your personality. That is so important. And I know I've said this a million times before, that if you are sitting at home, you're behind your screen, typing away, and you are hoping that you're going to get an email from somebody with an inquiry, or your phone is going to ring, right? Uh, to be able to tell the stories that you have about traveling through Europe, uh, climbing Kilimanjaro, visiting Alaska. If you're just pining for that moment, right, when you can actually showcase what you are passionate about, because you feel like your passion will connect them, right? That may never happen. But what you can do in that downtime is create content that showcases that personality and allows for a connection to happen for the people who need it, the people you are trying to reach. Okay. So you could keep it, you could keep it in a box and pull it out when somebody calls you, or you can start putting it out in the world so people can start to sample who are you. And brand personality can be you as an individual. If I'm Joshua's Travel, then I can rev you up with my personality, or I can create content as the brand. And everyone knows I have a collection of Disney castles. So, and I also talk about Disney all the time, mainly from a branding perspective. I admire the fact that that company can own so many brands and deliver on those brands and make it clear, like a clear distinction. I mean, think about it. Disneyland, the people who own Disneyland also own Star Wars. Okay, fantasy, fairy tale, and Star Wars, okay? I'm just saying, like, and yet the Star Wars brand continues to grow and the Disney, theme park business continues to grow, right? They can do that. That to me is them, they're just so good at creating those authentic experiences and in the content that they create, right? So they're really, they are really masters at conveying their brand personality. And every person, they've got teams, thousands and thousands of team members creating content, and they can do it on behalf of the brand. So if you are an agency and it isn't about you, it isn't about your brand, your personality, and you have the company brand, it can be done, because it can be, if it can be done at Disney, it can be done with you. So let's just make it clear. But for the most part, I'd say that many of you, you are your brand. You are the company. And you need to be able to package up that personality and share it, because what they get to see publicly and what they get to connect into, that is what they're going to get when they call or when they meet you for coffee or they do a video call. They're gonna meet you. So don't try to be anybody else, because you are exactly what you are selling. You are exactly what you're delivering. So don't try to be anybody else. Be you, be authentic. So that right there is, you get people in on your headlines, they click and then they start to read, or they start to watch, or they start to listen, whatever it is, right? And then they start to figure out what your brand is and what they can get out of working with you. Very, very important. So without that, don't do a blog. I'm gonna tell you right now, I want everyone to have a travel blog, but if you cannot be you, if you cannot deliver on your brand exactly as it truly is, trying not to be someone else, then, pause for a moment, because you might need to find yourself. So find yourself first and then start showing up and creating content. And it's not that scary. You just have to say, I am I'm good. I'm worth it. No, you've got to understand that you cannot be somebody else. You have to be you, and you are enough. But many people try to be something else. They say, "Oh, I'm gonna put on my corporate, persona." And you know what? I don't think anybody says, "Oh, that's so corporate. I love it." I don't think anybody says that. No, they love we love celebrities, right? Because they have a brand and they are communicating that brand wherever they are. You are a celebrity. Embrace it. Okay? All right, moving on. High quality visuals. All right, high quality visuals. What do I mean here? These You don't wanna be ripping pictures off the web, and they'll all be messy sizes or, pixelated, or something that often happens is people pull different pictures, and then when you look at like a series of blog articles, different articles that have been written, and there's an image there along with the title and a little summary, you look at it and you're like, "What is going on here?" It looks like somebody just, clipped out what are the like, those ransom notes where they cut out pictures and letters, and they're like, "You will deliver money, da, 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 da." That's what it conveys to me, right? So you want good quality images, but really on brand images. So you can have an eclectic brand. You can definitely have an eclectic brand, and you can have photos from your lifetime of travel, right? They're not all going to look the same. But your personal photos, at least that's the through line, right? That is the consistency. You've got that to kind of tie everything together. So it's okay if I've got a random picture from the 90s, right? And my hair, I was doing a side spike. I don't know. Like it's okay because you're showing this trip to LA that was your first time going to LA and da, 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 these are the things that you experienced. That's cool. People like that. They also like if you have when you think about Instagram, especially in the early days with Instagram, there were all the filters, right? And the people who did the filters well are the people who picked a filter and stayed with it. So when you were consuming their content, you're like, okay, that's their look and feel, that's their vibe. And then when you look at when you scroll through Instagram in the feed, when all of a sudden you saw that filter, that look, you were like, "Oh, I know, that's Joshua. That's his look and feel." Um, so you can use things like that. You could definitely use a filter, that helps you get some consistency across your images. Um, or, I mean, maybe that's more to illustrate the impact of when you can start to recognize the way a brand looks and feels. Or you can have just quality images, images that look like you took them today, okay? And that can be stock photography. That can be things that you get from a supplier. That is okay. But you as the creator are curating which images you use. And when you start to be mindful of this, uh, you can look at an image and you can say, "Oh, that's I wouldn't put that on my travel blog. Oh, I would put that on my travel blog." Or if a friend of yours takes a picture and somehow magically got it to look it just looks like a you picture, right? Then you're like, "Yeah, I'll have that picture because that will work with my aesthetic." Do you have to be overly cautious about it? No, you don't. But I want you to be mindful of it because something that the headline is what gets them to click. The next thing that influences their decision to stay, their decision to consume, is that image. And in some cases, I know I talk about video a lot, but I'm sure you've seen it. You've probably this is a behavior that you have too. You land on a page and you see a video at the top. Now, you might have landed on the page because of information on the page that you need to read. But when you see that little sideways triangle play button, right? Many of us do click that. So even if the thumbnail, I mean, you definitely don't want the thumbnail that's like, that's what I should do the thumbnail for this video. I should be like, you definitely don't want that. But it doesn't have to be perfect as long as I know it's a video, right? And then I'm gonna interact with the page, and when I get to hear the voice, when I get to see the person who I might be working with, that can seal the deal for many conversions, at least for me as a consumer, right? So, I would imagine you probably have experienced the same thing. Video, it speaks volumes, right? So that image, that the image of a clear video, like I know that's a video, I know I need to click that button to watch it. That's that's a high quality visual. The video doesn't even have to be a cinematic and gorge like that. No, it doesn't have to be like that. But a video is still an elevated experience versus just an image, right? So you want to make sure that you are making you're carefully considering your choices when you're selecting your imagery for your articles. It can make or break it. And I'm gonna call out Chris because he and I talk on a regular basis about. So he and his team put together articles on World Via Pro. For those of you who are not a member of our network, we have World Via Pro, which is a hub, a productivity hub for our advisors. And within there, his team is putting in a lot of information about promotions, information on suppliers. And in some weeks, he could have 25 different posts within World Via Pro. Actually, probably more than that now that I think about it. And when you're doing that kind of volume, sometimes you're like, oh, this picture will work because you have a thought behind it, right? But then when I am looking through, I'll be like, I don't understand that picture. And I'll bring an example to him and, most of the time, it's multiple posts that are lined up together, and to me, that this one image stands out as something that looks not like the others. "One of these things is not like the others," right? And so I showed it to him, and he's like, "Oh, yeah, you're right." But the volume, you're just moving through things. But the great thing about digital content, change it. And so, he goes in and does that. And that is helpful to have someone else periodically, right? You could have your magnificent other, right? I'm sure they want to check in and see what you're doing in your business, right? Have them check and just, have them say, hey, what do you think about this? And whatever they say is okay, right? They could say, oh, you really, you shouldn't do this, that, and the other. Thank you for playing. That's nice. But you might get something like that maybe they say, "Oh, that's a really cool picture because I understand that you're in Paris there," without it saying that you're in Paris. And you're like, "Duly noted, magnificent other. Thank you very much for that insight." So open it up. You don't have to take, it's not like what they say is gospel, right? You can edit that, but you might get some good notes that you can use and then apply to the way that you curate images in the future. Just don't rip them off the web. And when I'm talking about ripping them off the web, I'm saying just like go into Google search images and then drag in some images. It's like 200 by 200 pixels, and then you try to stretch it out to 1080 and it just looks like a hot mess. Like this is 1999 and you're building a website because that's what we were doing back then. So thank you. I feel like I went to another level on images, but I'm sure we can talk about images. Now, I do want to say because a few weeks ago, one of our audience members was asking about images how they could get stock images that there was enough variety and that they would be more likely to find things that they can use. So one that I shared and it seemed to resonate with some of you who watched live is a site called Envato. Envato.com. Envato.com. They have a lot of design resources, PowerPoint templates, fonts, images, video, all sorts of things. I love this tool. It is a great place for nice photography. It can be really corporate, like the really polished images, and it can also have a lot of images that look like someone took them for their Instagram social media accounts. And those are the ones I like the most because I do like photos that look like I took them. So you could search for something like child with balloons, and you'll get some images that look very corporate, and then you'll get some that really look like you took them on your last vacation. So pick which ones fit your style and fit the message. And there's a lot of things to choose from there, and it was pretty affordable. I don't remember exactly what the pricing is, but I was able to find. I was doing a project where I was trying to find images for destinations all around the world, different cities and things like that, and that's how I searched. I searched by the city, and surprisingly, I wanna say I found at least 95% of what I needed, And it was hundreds and hundreds of articles that I was looking at. So check it out, envato.com. It would be a place to get started for stock photography, and one that again gives you a lot of variety and high quality too, and that is the point of that foundational element. And then calls to action encourage your visitors to interact with you further and schedule a call. How many of you, and drop it in the chat wherever you how many of you are, are using an appointment scheduler like Calendly on your website, to allow visitors to schedule a video call or a phone call? How many of you are doing it? Drop it in the chat, I'd just like to know. If you're not using it, let me tell you about it. Okay. First and foremost, you should always have your telephone number on your website, right? You should have all your social media handles. Definitely have that. Um, and those are, I mean, the social media handles are not really a call to action, but having your telephone number is, nah, it's not really. It's saying, "Call me, and here's my number." That would be a call to action. But mainly on online presence, I would say your online forms, your inquiry forms, where it's like, "Hey, let's start planning your trip. Give me some details." Right? That's a call to action, and you can sprinkle that throughout your website. The scheduling an appointment. Hey, let's schedule 15-minute coffee talk or something like that. Like, just make it kind of fun and light and breezy, right? But the what I love about the scheduling a call using an app like Calendly is you you're putting the power in the visitor's hands. They can go and and it could be 11 o'clock at night. It could be 2 a.m. And that's when they're doing the search, right? Let's capture them, right? And I would say most travel agencies do not have that ability. They're scared to put it on the web. I don't know what the deal is, but I I don't wanna be scared to get a potential new customer. I need to get my customers, right? So, think about it. If your doctor's office, and some of them do, but most of them don't, if your doctor's office had the ability for you to just go on a link and schedule an appointment, would you not take advantage of that? I think everyone would. And what drives me crazy is my dentist will not do that. Like, just for a cleaning. Instead, when I'm thinking about it, which is 11 o'clock at night, I have to say, oh no, I better put a reminder in for the next day to contact them during business hours. Wow, I just realized that I got really that is definitely a trigger for me is my scheduling dental cleanings. But my point is, when I am ready to talk, that can be I could be in another time zone, it could be any time of the day or night. Don't don't make it hard for me to schedule a time to speak to you. And I'll tell you this, something I've learned. If someone, and you'll have people that no show on you for a scheduled call like that. You will have it. It's okay. Just bless and release. It's okay. You will, but the people who schedule a call, in my experience, have been more apt to be, well, not more apt, but they're more ready to get down to the details than the person who fills out an inquiry form, depending on the type of inquiry form. Uh, I can filling out forms, I can do it all day long. I can do it from Instagram. I just do it, right? But scheduling it and then having it check my calendar to see when I'm available, things like that, that's another level of commitment. So it's just like a little if there were a temperature to your lead, I would say they're a little warmer, those people who are scheduling a call. And that looks good for you, right? You want those people who are more warm to work with. So sprinkle those in, and that really applies to your whole website, but in your blog articles, make sure you have some different options in there. Um, you're talking about uh, Christmas markets, river cruising and Christmas markets. Uh, then put a line in there. It doesn't even have to be a fancy thing with a button. It could just say, if you want to talk about the Christmas markets coming up next year. Now is the time to talk. And click this link to schedule a time for us to talk about the Christmas markets. Right, that's a call to action, and it's tied into the article because I'm assuming the article is about the Christmas markets. So think about those things. Now, you don't want it to be an advertisement the entire time you're reading. You want to always come from a place of providing value. If you are selling all the time, what happens? The person who is listening will tune you out, or they know what they sense what the why is behind you giving the information. And this is one area where I'd say be a little sneaky. Always, always err on the side of delivering massive value all the time. Don't gatekeep that stuff because all the knowledge and the passion that you have, share it with the world because that is the way that you're going to get people connected to your content. And as long as you've got calls to action that you've weaved thoughtfully through your content and around your blog, I mean, it can be even permanent things that you have on your website, like subscribe for my emails, schedule a time to call, talk, submit an inquiry, download my PDF about packing, how to pack as a family for going to the Magic Kingdom, things like that. Weave those things throughout your article because think about it. People are searching and then they're finding this blog article that is this bit of knowledge about something and they're consuming it. And then, well, if I'm consuming it, then there's this option for me to download that white paper, that checklist for packing, right? Oh, that's easy. I'm going to do that. Oh, well, if this article is so good, I might as well join their newsletter. I mean, that would be fantastic. I can just get it in my inbox. Very passive, right? Or wow, these Christmas markets sound pretty fantastic, and I didn't realize that you needed to plan so far in advance. So I'm going to take this person up on the free consultation. I'll give it a go, see how it goes, right? So I just tried to illustrate the different levels of interest of somebody moving through your website. That is the power of your blog and then creating the calls to action within your blog. Now, there's a side note that I didn't really put into my 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 presentation today, and that is when you are working with travel partners, uh, especially when you've got a local rep that you're working with, and maybe you've just gotten on their radar, maybe they just became the rep, or maybe you just became an advisor within their territory, whatever it is, right? And you're working with them, maybe you have something, a trip that you're working on them with, or you're working with them on. Wow, I promise I've got words. I do have words. I know how to string them together. That was awkward. But anyway, think about it. They're sitting at their desk and you are on their mind. They're probably going to go look at your website. I'm going to say they're most definitely going to go to your website because I hear it all the time. So they're gonna go to your website and yeah, they're gonna see, here's Joshua, he has a travel agency and he does this, and he's been doing it for this long and he's focused on this, that, and the other, right? But where they're going to see your personality, especially if they haven't met you yet, is in your blog and your social media. So let's turn the light on that and make sure that we're delivering great value to anyone who's coming to our website because you don't know their story and you don't know how ultimately they're going to work with you, and that could be some of your travel partners. And I'll give you a little trade secret here, and that is I do know some people who have not put a focus on their online presence, and not to say blog, but just in general. It's been more of an afterthought, and I do know that some partners, who were doing some research to figure out were they going to invest time and energy in maybe a special event or something like that. I know some who have said, I don't know if this person really is serious about their business because I can't really glean anything from their online presence. They're not doing really anything in social media. So if I'm going to work with somebody who hasn't worked with our brand before, I want to know that they're committed to marketing themselves and reaching their audience and growing their audience, because that's a true partnership. I want to work with somebody. All the account managers, the BDMs who work with our suppliers, that's their job, developing business. So they are looking at your website to see, are you applying the good travel marketeering practices? That's what I'm gonna say, that's what they're doing. They have a checklist that they're saying, "Are you doing good travel marketeering?" So there you go. More audience. They're not so worried about the calls to action, however, for themselves. However, they're looking to see that you've got them. So get them in there right now. All right, let me pop over to the chat. There's been a few chats here. Three Strands said, "TM, hello. Sorry I'm late." You're never late. You're always right on time. How's that? Let's see. Hidden Atlas, yes. Calendly. Yep, there we go. I gotta do it too. Yes, Calendly is amazing. Free to use for one meeting type. You do have some of their branding on the links and the emails that go. It is so super easy to set up, so super easy to use as the person who sets up the meetings and the reminders and things like that. I even think it does text message reminders. I don't know if it does it on the free plan, but I think, the paid plan, the first tier is very nominal. But, I mean, love the automatic reminders, right? So it's easy for you to use as the agency owner, but it's also very easy for that user, who is scheduling time with you, because what I love about it is not only it has the reminders, but if I need to reschedule or cancel, those links are within that meeting, and anything that you can put the power in their hands, I am all for, right? So, fantastic. I'm glad you're using, Calendly. And then Robert said, plan on it, still rebuilding the site. So he's rebuilding his site, but he is planning on adding a calendar scheduling link there. Matthew joins us. TM friends, TM back at you, Matthew. Thank you for joining us. And Lisa said, I gotta love this. She said, brand new to this. Welcome, TM, and working on building a website and a blog now. Love it, love it, love it. Lisa, what I'd also like to say, if you're building a blog and a website at the same time, um, I have seen in the past. So this is where I like to give you a warning of things that I've seen in the past, whether you are going to fall victim to this or not. I want to throw this out there, and hopefully it'll help other people too. Um, your blog, I have found it much more effective to think of my blog as a separate thing. So I need a website in order to have a blog. But if I try to build my website and my blog at the same time, they have two very different needs, and I'm gonna need to have my head in different places. So when I'm designing my website and building that, I'm gonna set that all up. I'm gonna think about, oh, I definitely want a travel blog here, and it's gonna go here. But I need to get my website up right away. If I hold off until I've written all the copy and designed the pages on my website, and I've written a few blog articles, that the blog articles can delay me going live with my website. And I will always err on the side of get that website published first, because the clock starts ticking and you need to have that live as soon as possible. Once you have that live, then shift your focus over to crafting the blog articles. My recommendation is at least have 3 articles when you take your blog live, and build that, and then come up with some sort of a system to make sure that you're constantly adding to your blog over time. It I'm sure we've all been on a website where it looks like, man, they were writing blogs like crazy in 2015. It is 2025. What where have they been, right? Where have they been is not only something that us as humans notice, but it's also something that Google notices when it is trying to find a website that is robust and alive and kicking. It wants to know that content is being updated on a regular basis. So your blog is where you can do that. So, Lisa, good luck to you on building your website. When you said building my website and my blog, I just want to say, hey, get that website live first, and then put your energy towards your blog. Unless you already have your articles ready to go, that's a different story. That's definitely a different story. So I'm very, very excited for you. All right, let's pop over. I want to talk about showcasing, and we've talked about it a little bit, but I want to talk about showcasing your travel niche experience. So here's some advice on the content that you're gonna want to include in your travel blog. Now, for members of World Via Travel Network, we you have access you to Advisor Showcase on worldvia.com, where you can have a showcase of you as an advisor and content that relates to what you do. Same thing with travelleaders.com. You have access to the agent profiler. Sorry, I don't know why that wasn't coming to mind. So, very similar thing, allows you to showcase your expertise and allows you to have blog content and different pages to be able to build out an online presence on that platform. So, what I'm going to tell you here, you can apply everywhere. However, I will. I was asked this on our one of our calls earlier this month, but when you are creating content on someone else's platform, so not your website, you're doing it on Facebook, you're doing it on Instagram, you're doing it on other sites, directory sites. Just remember you're doing it on their platform. So if anything changes, if they change the terms of service, how their business model, anything like that, that could go away at some point. So I always put my website first. My website is where I where I put my energy and effort. Then I take that and figure out, do I want to maybe repurpose what I've done on my website, or maybe have the same piece of content, or just reconfigure it a little bit and put it elsewhere. But I always want my on the web, I want my universe to start. The sun in my universe is my website. So these tips can apply to all those other platforms, but first and foremost, I'm thinking about my website. So here's my advice: share specific knowledge, okay? You add value to the equation, okay? The blog is uh, where you're showcasing this knowledge and expertise. It's the only place really, I mean, outside of social media, right? This is the place where you get to show who you are and what you know, and the way you do things. And when I say the way you do things is not, here's how to work with me. Um, if I am not I am this is gonna be awful. I cannot believe I'm gonna say this. Um, I am terrible to travel with. Um, I have traveled for work my entire life, and my first years were not in travel, so it was not wonderful places that I was going to. But I have a very regimented way that I travel. So when I talk about my travel experiences, um, it sounds a certain way, and I don't think anybody wants to travel that way. Okay. Now, why I'm saying this to you is the way that I talk about when I travel someplace, you can tell the way I do it and the way that I book it, what's important to me, the way I schedule it. So somebody who actually is good at it and is passionate about travel and how and the experience of travel, they're going to infuse that in the stories they tell. and that is a beautiful thing. So you're if Chris, who World Be a Chris, who was watching earlier, and chimed in. So on our trade relations team, he enjoys all these travel experiences that he gets to do, and when he talks about it, it's so loving and caring, and he showcases the neat things that you get to do. So when you hear him talk, he and I could be on the same trip. You hear him talk, you're like, "Oh, wow, that's amazing." When I talk, it'll be like, "Oh, I had to get up and I had to go to breakfast, and it was just all this food, and, oh, then I just wanted to take a nap." And so who are you gonna wanna travel with, not me. You're gonna wanna travel with Chris. So I'm just saying, the way that you deliver your knowledge is going to be the window into what it's like to work with you. So share that specific knowledge about what you know and your background and knowledge and what you're passionate about. Super, super helpful. Uh so Chris said, "Sitting in the airport is one of my favorite things to do." All right, Chris, that's not gonna get you to sell travel. I'm just telling you. And Lisa, thanks. I'm glad that you liked some of that information. And Scott saying, "This is great. I will be adding a blog to my website." Scott, I feel ya. I love it. Oh, you know what? I've not done my
Yeah, girl.
those who know. So, yeah, girl, I'm giving you that, Scott. All right. Let's also talk about so so categories of content, right? You're gonna share specific knowledge that you have, and it might not be unique knowledge that you have, but the way that you deliver it, of course, because it's you. You are the only one. You are the only you in the world, so it's unique when you share it, right? But it's specific to you. It's what matters to you. It's what you've learned. You're going to share that knowledge, and then you're going to highlight client experiences. Okay, you might want to highlight unique trips that you've put together, even itineraries that you've put together. Those are things that if you spend months working on a very complex itinerary, well, that's fantastic. Let that obviously you did that for that client. Uh, share maybe an outline of that trip or what maybe you ultimately wanted. It might not have been what the client actually booked in the end, but it was what you presented as this is the best option. Showcase that. I know what some of you are thinking right now. You're like, well, why would I do that? Because then they're going to just book it on their own. The people who are going to book on their own are going to book on their own. The people who are not are gonna see that and think, "I would never even know where to start with that. This person, I don't want to go to Argentina right now, but the way they're doing Argentina is how I wanna do Spain. So, I'm booking the family's vacation for next year to Spain with this person." So, look at that. I know I'm telling you imaginary stories, but I'm just saying I know this to be the case. Stop being so scared to add value. Add value, just like value, value, value. Just add the value, right? Because the people who are are your people are going to see that and see that value and say, that's that's my person. That's my person. All right. Uh, solve travel problems. This is another another way another type of content that can help showcase your expertise. Um, so, excuse me. Position yourself as the go-to expert in your area with those insider tips. The did you know? And the thing that I have found very interesting about working in travel and working with travel advisors and hearing how they sell and it's an interesting thing to me because the I always get to be a part of the marketing conversations. I get to be a part of those marketing conversations and I love that, right? But I also get to be a part of some of the, just the behind the scenes conversations. So I will hear someone talk about how their website does not work. It does not bring leads in. I don't even know if it's doing anything. Like I just put it up, whatever, whatever. And then in the same vein, I'll be talking to somebody, a travel agency owner, travel advisor, and I mention about one of my my upcoming trips to somewhere, right? And I'm excited. I'm glad I get to do the trip, but I'm not necessarily thinking about all the things or the hot chocolate I need to try. I'm not thinking about that. But then that person will share all this stuff. So they'll tell me about the hot chocolate I need to do. And then they'll ask me about, oh, where are you changing? Do you have a layover? Oh, you're in Charles de Gaulle. How much time did you give yourself? Blah, blah, blah. Oh, and I'm like, oh, an hour and a half. And they're like, oh, not Charles de Gaulle. It needs to be way more than that. And I'm like, really? Why? The person, told me whatever. It's all these little things that either that advisor has experienced for themselves or through booking clients, they've amassed all this knowledge, right? So some of the content you can share is capturing that. So the person who's saying, "Oh, my website is whatever, whatever," I know that they're not capturing this amazing knowledge that they have. And it's right there. It's there. They could write that down at any point. And guys, with using AI tools, you could just bullet out the top 10 things that you always tell every traveler who's going to be headed to Europe. Okay. You could put it in and you could say, write me a blog article showcasing these 10 things. It could be 5 things too. And boom, there's your article. It took you maybe 15 minutes to compile that list, and it took a minute for AI to write a blog article, and it may take a few more minutes for you to comb through it to make sure it sounds like you and that you add any flourishes that you need to add to it, right? That that kind of uh, travel solving travel problems can really help just really convey that you are an expert. You are the expert. And it may seem so insignificant to you, but I guarantee you the people who need to hear it and the people who will be impressed by it, they're the ones that you want, right? They're the ones who want. And they don't get to see it and experience it if you don't share it, if you don't publish it. So, showcasing your travel niche, we want to share specific knowledge, we want to highlight clients' experiences, and solve travel problems. All right, let's talk about, let's see here. Gotta click my little things here. All right, let's talk about blog content that converts. Okay. Now, I was just talking about AI tools and I love them. I love them. I love them, especially if you have an idea of something that you want to write or you've written something and you want to clean it up a bit. My favorite prompt is improve colon, and then I paste in whatever I'm writing. And I always learn something. Sometimes there's a lot of edits that I still need to make. Other times I'm like, wow, that told that story better than I ever did. So please embrace that. Even if you wanted to get an idea of blog article, like content titles, things like that, around visiting Lyon, France, right? Um, it is a great place to start by plugging it in AI to say, give me blog article topics that people search for when researching a trip to Lyon. Okay. I'm telling you, you're going to get some ideas, but I'm going to give you some ideas here. So, guides are really, really good. Think about the guides that you're looking for, or even when you're scrolling through social media and someone says, oh, here's my 5 tips for eating healthy when you're in New York City, right? I mean, those are things that we consume, right? We consume those types of articles. So, these quick destination guides can generate a higher engagement, and they're perfect for somebody who is, I'm looking for some quick information, right? So not necessarily doing the deep dives, right? They're looking for very specific information about a specific destination, category of travel, lots of different ideas. So uh, I got an example here: 72 hours in Paris. Okay, doesn't that sound like an interesting article? I don't even need to read the article, but 72 hours in Paris. What does that make you think? How do you cram in the best of in a short amount of time, right? So if you've got an article that's titled 72 Hours in Paris, I don't even need to read it. You actually sound like you know more about Paris than I could ever hope to know, right? Think about what that's signaling. This is the power in blog, guys. Like, this is the writing blog articles, creating content. This is a beautiful thing. And think about that kind of title on an Instagram post. I'm going to read that article. I rarely jump off platform when I'm on social media, but if it's going to be something, I mean, cram pack 72 hours to cram pack everything that I should experience in Paris in a short amount of time, I'm going to be curious about that. So think about ways that you could, sure, you could write an article about Paris, things to do in Paris. Okay. Doesn't it sound more interesting if you put that kind of frame around it? So there's lots of ideas. I'm sure that you can get inspired by uh, different ideas that you see, but also I would really leverage AI tools like ChatGPT, or in WorldVia Pro, we've got Avia. I use it because it is going to be a game changer for you. The fact that you can scale your content so fast by knowing where to start, and then even getting it to run first drafts for you, super super helpful. All right, next idea: insider hotel reviews, and I love this because a lot of the reviews that people read about hotels, or resorts is, it's very broad, right? Or it's really um, that particular brand of hotel, or that hotel selling their product. So how do you get this information? Well, you can get this information to have these hotel reviews from your clients. Excuse me. You can get their feedback, what they loved about it, what they thought could maybe be improved, um, what they didn't like about it. Maybe they had a different idea of what they thought they were going to experience. So you can kind of collect all that information, synthesize it into a review. Now, with that review in your blog, you now have created content around that resort, that hotel, that people will be searching for on the web. And if they hear, or if they not hear, well, I mean, if it was a video or audio, they could hear it. But if they could ascertain that you are very thorough, very honest, it's an unbiased review, even though you might be a little biased, right? But if they feel like they're getting value out of that review, they're gonna talk to you, and they may not talk to you about that property. Again, it's like the itinerary thing. I might see the itinerary and say, "You know what? That's the way I want someone to plan a trip for me." And if I want them to plan a trip for me, if I like that, then I wanna give them this other project. So the same thing with the reviews. If you are a stickler for cleanliness in the common areas of a hotel, I'm just using this as an example. And I noticed that in several of your hotel reviews, you call that out. Well, guess what? That is my pet peeve too. When you're walking through the hallways and there's scuff marks all over the floorboards, and then there's dust and grossness in the air conditioning vents. I hate that. That makes me feel like I'm in a really disgusting place. And the fact that you called that out in a property, you know what? That person, you've got standards and they're like mine. So I would like to book with you. So think about that. Insider hotel reviews. And if you are traveling, so it could be hotel reviews, it could be cabin reviews, whatever it is, it's just really about the product, right? If you are traveling, maybe you're doing a fam or another educational experience, or you're just traveling with your family, and you start to create some of that content, even better. Write an article. Well, heck, you could make a video, make a quick selfie video of you going through the cabin or the room, and then you can upload that to AI and have it generate a summary, a blog article. So now you've got a blog article and you've got a video. That's a beautiful thing, right? So yeah, start adding to your blog right now with some review content, okay? And then seasonal comparisons, these work so well. So people want to know, when's the best time to visit Hawaii? When is the best time to visit London? Okay, when is it too warm? When is it too cold? It shows your depth of knowledge in a subject. And think about that. You could take if you maybe you do. I always use Alaska because it just stands out in my mind. But say you sell Alaska and you sell Europe. Okay, similar clients. It can work. It's a good combo. Uh, Within Europe, you've got so many destinations that you can talk about, and within Alaska, there's certain times when you go, and there's certain times when you can't go, right? But all in all, you've got a whole grouping of product that you can talk about and talk about when the best time to go would be, or when is the time to experience certain things. And that could open the door to so much content around festivals. Speaking of Europe, there's tons of festivals that happen around that entire area. You could have content for years around just what's going on at different times of the year. You could have 4 seasons of Paris, 4 seasons of the South of France, right? Like, there's so many ways that you could really blow up your content, scale up your content by talking about the seasons and best time, that type of thing, right? So I hope you're getting some ideas here. If you are, then give me a TM in the chat because I am very passionate about you and your blog. So let's let's talk about this. This is your integrating blogs into your content strategy. I'm sure you've heard. Yeah, I know you've heard me talk about content strategy. I'm sure you've heard other people talk about content strategy. Think about your website, your base content. That's your website. That's your brand story there. But your blog and social media, your email marketing, that's your content strategy. Okay, so that's something that you're constantly adding to. I mean, you should always add to your website, but in a way you are when you're adding to your blog. So your content strategy, something separate here. But think about your blog as your content hub. So that's what I was talking about earlier, with the other places where you can have your online presence. Make your blog and your essentially your website your hub. That is the core. That's where everything starts from. That is in the circle of life, that's where it begins, okay? And then think about social distribution of that content. If you write a blog, make sure you put it out on social and say, "Hey, you want to know the best time to visit south of France? You need to check out my blog," and then go look at my blog. If you are not doing that, I don't care if you don't have anybody following you on social media. If you are not doing that when you're publishing a blog, then shame on you because the world needs to know that you have published this article. Okay, benefits to it if you have no audience in social. You're starting to signal that you're there. You're not dormant, right? And some search engines do find some social channels, and that content gets served up, and I might be more likely to engage with the search result from a platform that I know versus a website that I've never been to before. So just leverage all the tools that you have at your hands, guys, right? You got some. Email marketing. Incorporate your blogs into email marketing. You could do an email newsletter that just features your blog content. And if you're just getting started with your blog and you do one article a month, there's one newsletter that's just your article. Think about what you could do with that. That you're getting, not only are you getting content into your email, but you are taking an article that you wrote and put passion in, you conveyed your expertise in this, and now it's getting to people who wouldn't get to it. Maybe they would never go to your website. You're now getting it in their inbox. You're getting more eyes on that content. If you get more eyes on that content, they get to know you, they get to know your personality, they get to see your expertise and potentially take action and do business with you. Another thing that I love to do, so I was talking about packing lists that you could have download my packing list for families going to Disney, right? Uh, that is that is having those things. I'm sure we've all done them for different things, right? We've downloaded those things, but those are valuable tools and vehicles for you delivering your brand to people who are not yet customers of yours. Okay, again, giving massive value. Some of your articles, especially these guide type articles, lend themselves very well to becoming an ebook. And a lot of times you don't have to add much to it. You just have to lay it out. You could do it in Canva. You could hire a designer to do something. There's even some AI tools that will create ebooks for you based on the content. But take an article that would lend itself well to that type of download, right? Like, here's the things to do in Paris in 72 hours. You could bullet them out and expand that out to an ebook. It doesn't have to be long, but it does have to be a PDF that they could, or it could be photos, but you'd really want it to be a PDF. Uh, make it something that they can download, they could print if they wanted to. You could offer that for people who sign up to your newsletter. You could say, "Hey, get my 12 things to do, must do things in Paris," right? If you sign up to receive my email, there you go. You've now delivered value. There's a reason for that conversion. And once they're in your email database, you can market to them. You also now know who they are, and they know who you are. So the next email that you send, that might be the thing that gets them to convert and buy from you. So make your blog the core. That's where everything starts. And finally, I just want to talk about just some details around the blog, right? So you're not wanting to create a novel. Sufficient articles that will convert, that'll work, and they're not too much of time commitment. You're looking at 500 to 800 words. Okay, I know that that's for some of you that sounds like a lot, and for some of you that doesn't sound like a lot, but it is enough on web content, especially to get started with. So that's what you're looking for. You can always expand. Some topics you might talk about a lot more, or you might have a lot more to say. Um, and that's okay. You can stretch. But when you get started, I would say get to at least 500. 800 would be an ideal space. 2 posts monthly. That to me is the minimum that you should be publishing, the minimum. And for many of you just getting started, you probably could write an email to a friend of yours or a colleague, and you could write essentially a blog article about what you know about a specific topic. So channel that. That is a very good. That is very very good time well spent. That's time well spent to do that. And then for kind of an estimation on the amount of time put into creating content that I have seen work very well for people is about 3 to 5 hours. Now, within that 3 to 5 hours, are you writing an article the entire time? No, you're not. I would look at this as uh, creating an article, maybe repurposing that article as an email, creating the social posts, and even just in between social posts that have nothing to do necessarily with the blog itself. But I look at that whole your content strategy that the very minimum, if you could spend 3 hours a week moving the project forward with creating content in its various forms. I think that is the place to mark that out on your calendar to make sure that happens. It doesn't have to be 3 hours in one go. It can be 30 minutes here, an hour here, but make that time to make content because it's not really about the content. It's about delivering you. Okay. And we want to deliver you. All right. So starting, oh, gosh, I am going to be very mad at myself. Stop hitting the buttons here. So starting your blog strategy, define your position, identify your voice and what makes you unique within your niche. And I said this earlier, and I will always say this: you don't have to reinvent the wheel, but do not do the world a disservice and just remove yourself from the equation. You are uniquely you. There is only one you in this galaxy. Okay, so whatever you do, whatever you are going to be, whatever your position is, you can find ways certain things there. It's very easy for you to see how you do something differently, but as long as you bring yourself to you make sure that it is a part of everything you do, you will be unique. So don't hold back on that. Find your content comfort zone. Identify 5 to 7 topic areas are that are ones that you can consistently create content around. And these can be buckets. You can use the different ideas that I gave you about how to showcase your expertise, right? You come up with these topics that will that make sense for your niche and will be easy for you to just say, okay, I need to do one article a month on this particular type of topic, or it's maybe you take a topic that you've already written about, and then stretch it out, create more content around that topic, but maybe you've got different styles that you're writing. Um, that sounded really odd the way I was trying to say that. But just identify so you're not having to sit at your desk and think, I wonder what my approach will be this time. No, figure out what you want, your 5 to 7 ideas, these things that you're constantly writing on, and make sure you write that down. Plan a content calendar. If you could do it 1 hour every on a Sunday every month. Plan out the next month's content. And that could be as easily one of our members, Stephanie, was sharing that when she was getting all of her ducks in a row when it came to her content strategy, the thing that she found most helpful was to say on Monday she does a social post about this. On Tuesday she does a social post about that. And that's how she mapped out her month. And that made it very easy to say, okay, well, what content do I already have? I'm going to plug that in. And what content do I need to create? Now, taking that further, and I don't know if she does this, but taking that further, what blog articles are needed to support that social calendar, right? And there you go. You're creating a system that you can effectively manage. Simplify the process. Uh, the more you systematize the content that you're creating, especially the blog articles that you're creating, the faster you can be at it. And if you are using tools like AI, you can say, I want to take this blog article and I want to write something similar about this. And that's going to help you kind of create that consistency that you can manage and support without having it always be such a big lift. And then set metrics, right? Set metrics. They don't have to be complex. You don't have to be a business analyst on it. You just have to, you have to know what you did so you can know what's doing well and what could do better, or you know what I mean? Just have some idea. And that could be how many people visit a blog article. Eventually, if you get enough visits to an article, how many people actually take advantage of the download or joining the email list. All of these things are things that you can measure and it will help you feel like you're accomplishing something. All right. That was a big topic today. I hope you got something out of it. I'd love to know. Drop it down in the chat if there's something that you're going to take action on in the next 7 days. I mean, it doesn't have to be big, it could be quite small, but drop it down in the chat. I'd love to see. I hope that this was helpful to you. This is obviously a passion of mine. And ultimately, I just love seeing that stuff that we talk about does help move the needle for you in your business. Um, I believe in you. I will always believe in you. And if there is anything that you have a question about or something that you'd love for me to talk about, email me, joshua@worldvia.com. I'm always happy to help. And our team is happy to help too. So join that Facebook group. Okay. All right. Until next time, take care of yourself so we can take care of each other. I will see you real soon. Have a great weekend, guys. Bye.